Skateboarding was first born in the 1950s when in sunny California, surfers got the idea of trying to surf the streets. People soon realised that skateboarding could recreate the feeling of riding a wave. The connection with surfing gave skateboarding a direction that would influence everything to come, from manoeuvres and style to terrain and attitude. It wasn't until the invention of the polyurethane wheel in the 1970s that skateboarding got taken to the next level and the downhill skateboarding subculture was born. Downhill skateboarding became the transportation of choice, especially among surfers in California. It was these surfers, with a love for speed and adrenaline, that helped create the downhill community, and to be frank, the sport has never looked back since. The downhill skateboarding family has grown in numbers since, and is now spread all over the world from South America to the north of Scandinavia. Australia is a big part of the downhill community, with several world-class riders and hills. Skateboarding has always been about personal discovery and pushing oneself to the limit. But where will skateboarding go from here? Wherever skaters continue to take it.
The Shire is Brisbane's best kept street party, and every Monday night they have a reggae gigs in the front yard, and sometimes you get like 200 people on the street out the front of that place. It was a place where everyone just came and brought their longboards every Monday night, just skating up and down. It's a nice little hill, listening to reggae bands.
When I first came to West End, I found out about the Shire. It was just awesome. So many good people there. It was a great vibe. And I met Anton there. He was running around with his cameras, filming, taking photos, and he told me he just finished film school and he was a filmmaker and was really keen to start doing a movie. Yeah, I told him that I just got to Australia and I was really keen to see more of the country. It wasn't many days until Anton called me back and said, you know, Gabe, I got the perfect van for this road trip, let's do it.
Well, when I first bought my van, it was just a silver box of shit, really. It was just the most boring looking thing ever, and I'm thinking, nah, we can't roll like this, man. So it started off just being my van called Vanton. It's now the Skate Australia van.
The van was finally finished and it looked awesome, man. We were so stoked on it. We just wanted to hit the road as quick as we could, but we were still waiting for our boards from Loaded. When we first got the boards, oh, it was just amazing. Like, opened all the boxes with all the wheels, trucks, and I just built my dancer in 5 minutes. Bam, like that.
The dancer. Playing loud, crazy dance music, switching the LED lights on and off from red to blue to red to blue, so it looks like we've got a police car. Sydney is just a really good city to skate in. Like, there's hills absolutely everywhere. It's pretty much no flat areas in the whole town. First met Jackson at Manly Beach. He had contacted us through ASRA, which is the Australian Skateboard Racing Association website. When he first met me, man, like, I was just some dude who only just started skating. And, you know, he's been skating and making skating films for ages. And it was like, whoa, man, this guy really knows what he's doing.
Jackson here is our best rider at the moment. You know, he's fearless, he's young, he's good at slalom, downhill, sliding, stand-up sliding, drifting. You know, he's mastered it all.
I am the skate man. I've come to take over the world. I was pretty excited to go on these road trips and you know, figure out what these guys wanted to do, because it was a cool idea. No one's done that before. No one's really said, I want to sit down and do a documentary on longboarding and the scene of longboarding, and most importantly, the growth of the sport.
And then we went to Bondi Beach and met up with the Sydney City Bomb Squad. The closest thing you could call to a skating gang. They just bomb all the hills and do street races together, leave their stickers everywhere they go.
And after that, we took them into the city and showed them how we roll. We took them around all the car parks and down on Darling Harbour, hit the banks, did a little street bash and pedestrian slalom, and showed them how we roll urban styles in the city.
Jackson told us to meet us at this place called Mount Kira, which is in Wollongong, a 1 hour drive south of Sydney. And so we drove there, got to the top of the mountain up this really long, windy, narrow road, and it was a struggle pretty much for my van to make it up that hill. As soon as I got to the top, there everyone was, with full face helmets, leather gear, and these huge big downhill skateboards that I'd never seen before. We set up a shot with the back of the van open and the camera on the back seat pointing backwards. And a nice guy called Corey Leeson said he would drive for us. I thought, oh, that's nice.
I can drive in front, just have a spotter out the back, calling out.
And then I found out later he was a stunt driver. Van was just doing hairpin corners at like 60, 70 k's an hour, and yet these guys on skateboards had to slow down so they didn't catch up with us.
Straight driver. Focus. Yeah. Speed up.
To skate down a mountain like that the first time was unreal. I mean, I was hooked from the first run. The adrenaline was just pumping so hard. You get to the bottom and everyone's just spinning from ear to ear. And there could be cars coming up, there's little whoops and bumps and potholes, even though the surface is smooth, but it's got some distance on it. The top section is about 3 k's and you've got 17 corners, and then you've got some more straights for another 3 k's. And you go down this residential section, which turns into the most roughest gnar you could possibly ride on. You're booking 80 k's down it. Shit's rusted past really quick, and you just want to keep doing it again and again and again. I've been skating that hill for 2 years and I'm never going to get sick of it.
I don't ever want to do that again.
Well, we're doing it again because that was awesome.
Holy fuck, is this crash?
That was huge.
That's the AC's crash. That was
Man,
rad.
that was fucking awesome.
Well, we were trying to tell him before he got there, we're like,
Dude, slow down, it's rough.
It's fucking nuts.
And then he tried to foot brake and got wire.
Yeah, you can't foot brake there at all.
Yeah, you can see his foot just going sideways.
How was
He
that?
almost
A couple
had it
of
on.
times you were coming around and I thought you were going to hit me up the arse, but I was going as quick
No,
as
I was drifting. I was like, hang on. That's the day Jacko introduced me to Steve Dado, who was another awesome downhill skater who was going to come with us on the road trip.
I started skateboarding when I was 10. I started on the little plastic skateboards, and then from there I moved up to the conventional double kickers. As I got older, my knees started giving out, so I got into longboarding, and from there I've just become downhill and slalom guy.
Steve's a great dude. He's one of my favourite guys to skate with, definitely. He's the one who gave me all my knowledge of downhill and slalom. He's the guy who I pretty much looked up to when I first started. And he really wanted to skate with everyone, not just be the best, but have fun and get everyone else to be the best as well.
I mean, without Steve Dado, there would be no Australian downhill skating scene at all. His influence has just gotten so many people into it. As a result, the scene is just growing and growing and growing.
When I first bought a longboard, I just loved the feeling of going fast on an actual skateboard. You know, when you're riding a conventional board, you roll down a hill and it's loud and it's vibrating and it's rattly and you don't seem to go fast. But with the longboard and the wheels, the trucks, it's all set up perfectly so you can actually go faster and carve, you know, nice and smooth lines.
The trick to going fast is the knowledge that you can slow down. Slowing down at high speeds comes with a lot of practice, but it's very doable. We just open our arms up and make ourselves a big parachute, and that really makes a difference when you're starting to hit speeds towards 80 k's an hour and you really want to slow down. You can go from 80 to about 60 in a couple of seconds and start foot braking and really shut it down when you need to.
Slice bits off car tyres and super glued it to the bottom of their shoes because they just drag their shoes along the ground so much to slow down.
Aerodynamics has a lot to do with downhill speedboarding. There's a lot of different body positions that we get into to control our speed.
You know, there's different types of tucks. The Brazilians, they might, you know, get down like this with a knee on the board and put their hand in front of them like this. You know, it's up to you. I've seen guys do tucks like this. You know, it's up to you. However you think you can go faster, you do it.
Downhill skating is an extreme sport. You can classify it as an extreme sport if you don't do it. If you want to get into it, you just got to take it from, you know, the bottom and work your way up, you know. And in the end, it's always going to be dangerous, especially when there's a race. You're pushing yourself to try and be the best.
Other people look at the sport we do and go, yeah, it's dangerous. But us being part of the whole controlled environment that it is, you know, it's like you're trying to get out there to do something you enjoy in the safest possible way.
Yeah, man, there's some heavy crashes going down, and you know, it's downhill skateboarding, so you're up for some heavy shit.
He pushed the limits just a little bit too far and got himself a bit stuck on the hill. He went to foot brake and just slipped off his board. Superman, impact, just popped his shoulder straight out. Keep going with the whistle. That's fucking good shit.
So the next place we hit was Canberra, which is my hometown. It's a 3-hour drive south of Sydney, and it's inland, 2 hours away from any beach. It was made as a capital city because the politicians in 1901 could not decide between Sydney or Melbourne as to which should be the capital of Australia.
Welcome to the cat show where the cats go.
Because we were in Canberra, we had to skateboard down Parliament House. By the time we finished, there were about 6 cops watching. They all just came and congregated.
Because Simone says it's only cool for cats.
One good thing about Canberra is that in the wintertime, you can go skiing nearby. 2 hours drive to the Snowy Mountains, which is actually somewhere in Australia where you can ski. Most people overseas don't think you can ski in Australia, but you can. And we just decided, yep, we're going to go to Thredbo, which is an alpine skiing town. And Steve and Jackson were so excited. Like, they were so damn excited. And then all of a sudden, as soon as we started skating and filming, bang, it just started raining.
And the next thing we know, it just starts bucketing down with rain. So we're just looking at each other going, well, should we just go? Well, don't know what's coming up. Well, let's give it a little burl there.
Free world, citizen of the universe. Free world, citizen of the universe. Free world, citizen of.
So after about 4 or 5 crashes and 8 Ks of winding hairpins and drifting hard, we thought, okay, this is getting a little bit gnarly. So we decided to call it quits.
The rain doesn't stop us. We're hardcore.
Yeah, we're hardcore, man.
We're here to film a movie and nothing's going to stop it.
Not even ham sandwiches, as Steve would say.
That trip in Thredbo, getting rained out on those hills, was sort of the beginning of a bit of a disaster period for us. Yeah, we started heading back towards Sydney to take Steve to the airport, and then halfway back, the van just died.
We fried that thing trying to get up and down the hills, just revving it, trying to do follow cams, all that sort of stuff. So eventually, after everyone had burst, the van just turned around and said, you know what? Fuck you guys, I'm out too. It just died.
Steve was awesome, man. He was totally cool. He was pretty much thought he was going to miss his plane, but he didn't care, man. He was just so chilled out. My dad came with the dodgy towing cable that he had bought and dragged the van all the way back to Canberra. And the cable broke twice on the way back. And then I finally got home at 10:30. I was so tired. I was so just annoyed. The next morning, went to the van to get some clothes, and then everything was gone. All the footage that you guys have seen so far was at one point sitting in some drug dealer dude's house.
When he called me up and said that they miraculously found it because, I don't know, the police system in Canberra just happens to be a little bit better than anywhere else in the fucking country. It was a good day because that means that we didn't waste our time, we didn't waste our effort, we didn't waste our footage.
I got my camera, I got my footage. We're just gonna go and finish this film. When I told all the guys that we had all the gear back, it was back on, you know, the film was back. It was perfect timing because there was a race held in Kincumber, a slalom race and a ditch race called the Conehead Cup.
The course is basically a bunch of cones set up down a hill, and you have to wiggle your way in and out of each cone. If you miss a cone, you get disqualified. If you hit one, you get a penalty. When you're slaloming, you've got to use a lot of power from your upper body and from your legs as well. You know, you use your arms to help pump when you're coming down the hill. Once you get into it and you figure out the movement and it comes to you, it's amazing.
Yeah, the Gold Coast is just an amazing beach. It's just, a whole city is just covering one massive beach. And it's also known as Surfers Paradise to all the tourists. Funny thing is that when you go to Surfers Paradise, no one's actually surfing there.
The Gold Coast guys have got a really good scene going on at the moment. You know, the guys from early, like Jezza, Steve, Liso, Austin, they've been at it for a long time now and really pushing the sport and getting the racing scene happening. But now there's been an introduction to all the younger fellas out there, all the grommets who are starting to pick up longboarding. It's really good for the scene in Australia to have those sort of kids out there just ripping and having the time of their lives. Well, sure, the whole surfing scene plays a big part with the evolution of the sport of longboarding in general. It's part and parcel with the whole surfy scene, you know, cruise down to the beach with your longboard and check the surf, but it seems that the guys up in Queensland they're picking up that attitude but taking it to the next level and really exploring the sport of longboarding.
It's like a brand new style of longboard skating. It's just come out, it's so new. And Gabriel is absolutely amazing at it, man. Like, that's just the way he always skated around Stockholm, because Stockholm's a really flat place, so it's a real sort of flatland style skating. And it's like almost a Malibu surfboard style on a skateboard, where you walk up and down the board, crossing your steps.
I loved watching Gabriel. He was amazing. He was just like a ballerina on a skateboard. It's, you know, if people actually saw that, you know, they'd probably think different of skateboarders. They'd be like, oh, that's pretty beautiful.
When we got back to Brisbane, heading north, a fair few people had found out about the film by then, so we had a much bigger crew to meet up with in Brisbane, all these skaters that we didn't even know were there. They all just came out of nowhere and we all got together and did this monster car park session.
Public car park, okay? So you can find somewhere else to do it. Everybody, break some idea. That's all, so don't panic. Will you give us a dodgy name? We will arrest you. Okay, now what that is defined by. So if you want to skateboard out the front of a quiet street, the kids do that. As a vehicle? Yeah. No, you can't. Oh, well, you could get speeding, but you've it's actually...
Well, at least everyone's got a helmet. Safety first.
No security guard, no police officer. No one has any real answers when it comes to the law of skating.
I longboard every day. I don't have a car because I got a board. If I want to, you know, take a girlfriend for a cruise down to the beach, she jumps in the front of my board. It's fun.
I take my longboard out every day, you know, I'm going to check the surf, I'm out there. So I like the big wheels and I like to go fast.
this is such a great event because it's a fundraiser. I mean, there hasn't been anything like this before in the history of gravity sports racing, and not only just a fundraiser, but such a big cause like cancer.
I'm here for my tech inspection.
Running to IGSA rule book, we have specifications and restrictions on weight, as well as the condition of the board, which keeps it safe. With leathers, we're looking for making sure all the seams are stitched.
You like to sew?
You look like it. Look at this incredible job.
I would expect no less than perfect, which they are. Thank you, Mr. Dado.
Beat the Bus was unreal, man. That's one of the best events I've ever been to. The best thing I liked about that event was how many runs we got in the time period we had there. We had so many runs that by the end of the second day, everyone was just crashing because they had no wheels left, they had no legs left, they had no pumps left. The level of riding on that hill in the past 2 days was the most phenomenal riding I've ever seen from Australian downhill riders.
Came back and I just thought Australia was a flat land and there wasn't much around. And then I went out exploring and I met a lot of guys around that are into the sport now, and we have some really good hills. We've got some world-class race courses out here like Bathurst, you know. A lot of people from overseas have come over and said Bathurst is one of the best race courses in the world.
In Bathurst this year, it's really going to put us on the map even more and show the rest of the world that Australia has good riders and riders that can compete on that World Cup level, and really show the rest of the world that, you know, we're going to take over.
It's fast, it's constantly fast, and every corner is like, you know, like in a rally car, you're just drifting around the corner and then you're drifting around the next corner, you know. You gotta be on the ball here, you know. If you're not, you're gonna crash and you're gonna hurt yourself.
Kilometres faster than the V8 supercars. That's bringing it. That's putting the B back in bringing it.
Past year or two, I've really seen the growth of the sport, and it's just starting to pick up, and it's just gone exploded. You know, they had surfing, they had skating, they had snowboarding, they had BMX. Every other extreme sports had their moment in the sun, but now I see this sport growing as one of the new extreme sports.
One thing Gabriel told me is that his entire trip through Australia, he was skating. Like, all he did is skate in Australia. He said that it's got to be one of the best countries in the world to do it.
Burning old wood, getting higher. When we hear that cracking good, you can feed it. Show her as you steal, he receive it. We're warming up the field, here we started. With the sparking of a thought, here we have it. Into it we are taught.
I want people, after they've seen this documentary, to look at someone downhill skating, and instead of thinking, oh my god, that is so dangerous, that is so stupid, instead they should think, wow, look at that guy, he's having an awesome time.